that I created. I'm going to start by showing you the files. So the main file is how we create a WordPress plugin. So we've got the plugin name, the plugin URI, which the site you're selling it on, description, the version number, the author's email site. From there, we're designing the plugin directories without having to retype that every single time. So these are simple definitions in PHP, which you set once and we can just use it over and over again. The function here, SW custom module, is saying, hey, look, let's check if this class exists, FL Builder, which is the class that Beaver Builder is wrapped in. So if that class exists, then we're going to load up our custom module in our includes folder. So that means that, hey, if Beaver Builder is active, then activate the module. If it's not, then don't activate the module. So that way we don't get tripped up. You don't get tripped up on errors and things. Then everything in this includes folder is everything to do with the module. Okay. Now we want to create one new folder. We're going to call that JS. Now I will actually create another folder called CSS, and that's where we will put our CSS and our JavaScript. Now, these are for JavaScript and CSS files that are dynamically controlled. So, if you're always going to have your paragraph color black in your module, then you can put that in a static CSS. But if it's going to be controlled, like they're going to be able to control the color from within the module, then that becomes dynamic, and dynamic content goes in the module content, so css.php and js.php, which we will get to as we go through the module. Now, where did I put that? Right, so I'm just going to go over to this, and so we can see here the instructions for this module. I'm going to post this on the link on the chat for you guys. So we can see here that all we need to do is in jQuery. We need to run jQuery. So we don't have to do any of that. That's all taken care of with Beaver Builder. But we do need this daily messages.min.js. So if we go to the source, we can get that daily messages.css. Okay, so I just got the note that Hannah's joining us now. Oh, you can see that message pop up on my screen anyway. So she'll be with us in a second. So as we can see, there's nothing really in here. It's very straightforward jQuery. So I'm just going to go raw, open that in a new tab. I've copied that jQuery script, and I'll create a new file in here, which I'm going to call daily messages.js. Now I'm using brackets, Adobe brackets. It's up to you whichever text editor you use. How many people know PHP?
Just average.
Just average? Okay. All right.
Yeah, about the same.
Okay. All right. So this is all the JavaScript, and we don't have, so that's like that would be the same as downloading it and putting it into the folder. All right. So now we're ready to go. Let's jump back to our one here. Let's go back to the main directory. So there is a CSS folder in there. Let's just so that's got a style sheet, but you can see it doesn't do anything. That'll be just controlling his demo because he's got a demo in there, which is what we're looking at. So from there, we need to initialize the plugin targeting the class or ID. So we're just reading through how to use this plugin, and then we can see our options. So this is our jQuery that we need, and this is going to be dynamically controlled. So this goes in our front end.js.php. So this is PHP, but it's JavaScript within PHP. So the guys at Beaver Builder have written this so we can load PHP content in it, and it'll convert it to clean JavaScript. So I'm just going to take that, paste that in. Now I'm not going to worry about the success console log or error functions because I don't need to see any of that. I'm just going to worry about the Monday, Tuesday, etc., etc. And I'm going to leave that class for now as the same. So basically, what this does is it'll look what day it is, and it will load that content that we've added there into our div with that class daily message. So that tells me all we need to do is go to our front end, go div, class, daily message. That's all we have to do. We don't have to put any content in that. So at the moment we're not doing any CSS because we're not styling it, and we haven't got into the actual field yet. I'm going to close that because we don't need to even look at that anymore. Oops, no, it's gone. Okay. And you'll see it's licensed under the MIT, which means it's open source. So this plugin we're able to use. So here's my site. Let's go to the page builder. Well, I've already activated the plugin, and you can see it's an example module. So I haven't actually changed any of the module names or anything like that just yet. So I'm just going to save that. There's no content. Let's drag that. Oops, let's drag that down. So we can see it on white. Come on, there we go. And there's no content there. So let's publish that. And we can see there's no content there. And if we inspect the element though, we can see our div daily message. And the reason why there's no content there is because even though we've got the daily message here, we haven't actually loaded this daily message. We haven't told WordPress to what they call enqueue it. So if we jump into our custom module, you can see I've got this grayed out. It's commented out. So this is how we add JavaScript. So it's called daily messages. I'm just going to rename so I can copy that and paste that in. And it's in so we're in this URL. So remember how we defined that in the front end. And we're going to load daily messages. So if we save that now and go back to our page builder, now we're loading that JavaScript file that we've downloaded or we've pasted, and we see, I know it's only Tuesday, but you can do it because today's Tuesday. So I don't know what day it is over there for you guys, but here it's 9:30 PM on a Tuesday night. So we can see that it's now working. We know this is working. So now that we've got all our JavaScript, our plugin downloaded, all the content we need in there, let's go and start creating the actual module. Let's get into the crux of it. So we can close this daily message because we've got all that working. Everybody up with me so far? Pretty straightforward stuff so far?
Yes.
Yep. Okay. So now we've got that working. Let's build out our custom module. Now we're not going to call this custom module. We're going to call this daily message. Okay. And we're going to change it down here. Daily, let's get rid of the caps lock, daily message. And notice how I've got SW prefixing it. It is a good habit to always prefix your function. So SW, simple website, because my company, my business is simple website in a day, so I prefix it with SW. Beaver Builder, they are fast lines, so all their prefixing is done with FL. So you can see their class is FL Builder. So we called that function daily message. And we're going to start renaming our folders as files as well. Daily message. Rename that module. Get rid of that custom. Daily message. And I'm going to highlight all of that and copy it because we're loading it here. So we want to rename all things. Otherwise, if we keep using the same names, it's just going to completely crash your site because we're going to error out. So daily message, we've just renamed. All we're doing at the moment is just renaming our functions to match. We're going to rename our plugin. Oh. We're going to change the description. And that's that front page finished now. We've changed everything. I know it's not going to crash because I have never created a daily message module before. And good to do that. I prefix my plugin names. The reason being, let's say someone else has created a plugin in the WordPress repository called Daily Message, and you're on version 1 and they're on version 1.3. Then WordPress may see that and think, hey, there's an update to your plugin, even though there actually isn't. But by prefixing it, once again, it changes that. Right, so now let's copy this. So our module dir, and where we've got it here, custom module dir, we'll paste over that. And we'll do a copy and pasting to change that there. Now in here we've got custom class. So daily message, and that's also down here. So this gets loaded, this array gets loaded into that class, and there's the class up there. We don't want people to think it's a module template in the name. This is where we name our module. So this first page here is in the back end, the plugin on the plugin page. I'm sure I don't need to show you that. This page here, this is the actual module. So this is where we see it in here. Okay, so module template. So what we want to call that is daily message. And the reason why, for those not familiar with PHP, _ daily message FL builder, that's your translation. So this means that it can be translated to other languages. And I'm using the default FL builder folder and language pop files that are already created, so people can translate my plugins within Beaver Builder. But if you want to have your own translation directories, you'll need to change that and create that. So I go up here and I just copy that and add that to my module description. Let's just save this now and let's just reload this page. Because I've renamed the plugin, hang on, because I've renamed all those folders, I'll need to reactivate it because it would have deactivated. So plugins, install plugins. Normally I would go through and just rename everything to start off with. So you can see it was deactivated because it doesn't exist, but it's still here somewhere, SW daily message. So like I said, that's that first file that we created. So we'll activate it. Oh, and now we've got an unexpected error for some reason. So while this was working before, it is now no longer working. Why is that? Might be because we've got section 1 and section 1. I wonder if that's the error. What's the actual error say? I wonder why that didn't come up. It's error on line 33. Oh, there's a 2 in there. Somehow a 2 got entered. There we go. Okay, so now if we go to our page builder, we've still got the example module, but now it's called daily message, and you'll see it's gone from this row because we renamed it. So we'll place that back in there, and we're good to go. Now, in here, you can see it's called example module because that's what we called it up here. If you use the existing basic modules, advanced modules, it'll load them in there. And of course, you can create your own. So my custom module, let's save that. Let's refresh that. And you can see it's changed there. And also, let's see if I can get a link in new tab. Let's go back to the dashboard. And if we go to the page builder settings, and we go to modules, it adds it into here already for you to turn it off and on. Yep. All right, so Beaver Builder takes care of all of that for you. Okay, so let's add our content. So the first thing we want to add is, if we remember, we want to be able to add our lines. Now, we're not going to be using a custom form, so we're not going to load a custom form, so we're going to delete that out of here. We're not going to be, we will be using a second tab, and we're not going to be using a second section. What all we want is, first tab, we're going to call this, so we're going to give this an ID, a content tab, and we're just going to call this content. To give this section a class of content, and we've named that, that's our tab, we've named our tab content, we've given that title, and now we're going to work in our section, and we're going to call this quotes. I'm going to add any fields. I'm just going to show you, and I like to keep my comments going through. So if we go back to this module now, so we've called it quote content up here in the title for the content tab, and then we've given them the section of content a title of quotes, so you can see that there. So now we want to create a text field. So if we go to the custom module documentation for Beaver Builder, I will post that link in the group chat for you. If we go in here, you can see they've got everything you need to get everything you want. How to create it all in here. So we want to go through to our fields. So if we go down to the fields down here, somewhere down here, if we just do a search, we can probably search for it. There we go. No, that one. Text area. So here we go, type and label. So if we just copy this field in, go up to my fields and paste that in. Just give myself a space. Let's make sure my tabs are right. Okay, so we've now got a text field. Let's just save that and go back to our sandbox and click on it. You can see we've got a tab field here, the text field 1. So we can go Monday. And we can just duplicate that. Tuesday. Saturday, and we need one more for Sunday. And so if we go back, we will see, so here's all our text fields. Now what we could have done, we can, if we look in our, back into the custom module documentation, and we go multiple, they don't call it plain, they call it multiple. Somewhere, no. So we can, no, that's multi-select, we don't want multi-select. So you can see they've got this value called multiple true. So let's just have a look at what that would look like if we go up to Monday and we paste that in there. So if we bring up our form, that would make Monday a repeatable option. So that's how you do a repeatable, and they can then reorder them. But in this particular case, we don't want, so if you're creating like a custom slide, you would want them to have multiple quotes. But in this scenario, we just want one for every day. So we don't want it to be a repeatable option. So we'll just delete that. The other thing you can do with text fields is if I bring up my Beaver Lodge plugin, here we go, Beaver Lodge, modules, and let's use the bar chart one. If we bring that one up, you can see you've got a size, a max length, and a description that you can add in there as well. So if we were to copy that, say, let's just close that, and put that in there. So it's a size of 4 with a maximum length of 3 and a description of percentage. So it's saying let's make the input field 4 characters long, but let's only give it a maximum length of 3 characters, and let's tell it that we're looking for a description of percentage. So if we were working, let's say this was going to be a font size, we might say pixels. So let's have a look at that. So you can see it's shortened now, and it's given a picture. And if I go 1, 2, 3, it won't let me put 4 in there because it's only 3 characters, allowing 3 characters. Okay. So now the other thing we could do is, because we could make our quotes any length we want, we could make it a text area, which in this case would probably may or may not suit better, so that you can create it a suit text area, and then you can start adding rows. So you can make it, so that's the default, but we can make it, pretty sure it's called rows, say equals 10. Let's make it 50. I'm pretty sure that's right, going off the top of my head. So let's reload that form. Yep, so we've now got 50 rows. So you can adjust that as well. So I think I'll leave it. I think I will make. Oops. I think I will make them all text areas. Now, the last thing we can look at is we can look at placeholders. So placeholder will give you the illusion of an entry. That doesn't actually load anything. So it's grayed out, type over, and if they delete it, it shows the default content. And speaking of default content, you can create default content. So if we go to our daily messages, so here's our, we do have defaults. No, we don't. So we can add in some default quotes if we wanted to. So that way it always will show a quote. Let's open that back up again. Let's add that in. Let's add in some default, huh? So default, Tuesday is, just drag this off to the side so it's easy for me. Oh, okay. So see how this is why we use specialty editor forms. So see how it's suddenly gone from orange to black. That's because it's thinking that that is the end, that is the closing apostrophe. So if we prefix that with a backslash, it won't render that backslash, but it's telling the PHP, hey, this isn't an end, I want you to actually render this apostrophe. Pencil these in, and I'll go and override them in a second. Here's our Wednesday default. Thursday default. Friday default. Saturday. Once again, you see it's gone black, so we just add it in our backslash there, and that tells the server to render that, because PHP is server side, so it gets rendered before it even hits the browser. There we go. So now we've got our default content. So let's reload that form. And because we got rid of that placeholder, if I delete that, there's nothing. Okay, so now, is everybody with me so far?
Yeah.
Am I going too fast, or is everything okay?
It's good.
Can everybody hear me?
Yeah. I understood
Yes.
the principle.
Okay. Grant says yes, so people can hear me. Okay. All right. So now the next thing we want to do is we want to take these input values and we want to load this into these content here. So the way we do that is if we go into our front end, I'm just going to show you a neat little PHP trick. And we're going to go open our PHP and we're going to go var dump and we're going to go settings with the $sign because this is a defined variable. But basically what we're going to do is we're going to dump everything in the settings variable. So if we reload that, this is reloading the whole page now, you can see there is all our variables, and we can see that we've got under the array, sorry, it's an array, not a variable, under the array settings array, we've got these keys that we created. But you can also see you've got your keys for custom class, custom ID, margins, all the stuff that are in the advanced tab. So settings shows everything in here. You've got your animations, etc., your custom IDs and your custom classes. So we want to echo out the Monday value. So if we went like, let's go back to our front end. So let's have a look. We go, the way we do that is minus greater than, and Monday. So let's have a look at that. So now we're going to lose all that and only show the Monday. And there we go. So we've got the Monday, we're showing the Monday key has a value of case of the Mondays. So just going to copy that and select the Monday, just so you can see all the settings going forward. So in Monday, we need to just delete that and go PHP, echo, settings, Monday, close that out and close out our PHP. And now all we need to do is repeat that for every day. Change it to Tuesday. Wednesday. Saturday. Saturday. No, what did I miss? Thursday. Let's save that and let's go and have a look. At the moment we're showing, I know it's only Tuesday, but you can do it. So let's go and change that Tuesday quote to, hell yes, this works. And you'll see that this is loading, it's got a little loading thing. And we can now say that it's working. So that's all work. And the reason why we saw that straight away is because in the module at the top here, I've got this partial refresh true. Its default is false. I don't know why they've made it false, but its default is false. So now if I change this content, we won't actually see it work because today is Tuesday for me. Okay, so now we've got that working. You can start to see how easy it will be to style this. So in our tab, in our module, we've got our quotes, our content. Let's make this our style tab. So first thing we want to do is, before I do that, let's have a look at our settings. We've got class and ID. So let's go to our front end and let's add in a class. So we're going to go PHP, why is that not working? There we go. Open our PHP, echo, settings, class. That way, if anybody enters a custom class, it'll work, and we can also go. They can add it into there, and we could also go, if we wanted to, we could add in ID equals PHP echo settings ID. Now, one other thing I want to show you is is echo $ID. So if I refresh that, you can see you get the ID number, which is unique. Every module, every row, every column has a unique ID number generated by Beaver Builder. So if you wanted to make sure that it was unique every module, so that way, so echo ID. So this way this way, every time they add another module, so if they add this multiple locations on their site and they want to style each one with different colors and things, you've got a unique class for every module. Now, we need to go over to our CSS, sorry, our JavaScript, and we need to change that here. Otherwise, it still won't work. So that's a way to ensure you have a unique class for every single module built onto the page, because they won't be nothing has the same ID. So now I've changed the class. If we refresh it, we should still see nothing will change. It'll be that will come up. See? Okay. So let's go to our second tab, which we'll call Style tab, and we'll just make that Styles, and call this section Styles, and I'm not going to give this a title. So this section won't have a title, and I don't think we're going to need any extra sections on this, because let's face it, all we're going to have is font size, font family, font color, and maybe a background color. I can't see us needing anything else, so I'm just going to delete that section there. And then just rename my end. So these are just comments, so I know where they end. Oh, so it's easy for me to find. Okay, so the first thing I want to start off with is perhaps font family. So let's go back to our custom module document and let's search font. So we've got font size, which you're not going to worry about at the moment. Let's go up. So here we go. We've got my font field. So if we're looking at the font field, we can see it returns an array of family, an array of font, and we've got a type of font. So before, with the classes, we worked with text, and I showed you text, and then we changed it to text area. Now we want to work with the font. So let's copy that. Let's add that to our fields down in our styles. Let's just fix up that heading there. So font. And by default, it is Helvetica. Let's just remove that default from it for now. What I'll do, I will comment that out. So that's commented out now with the /. So we've still got that line being rendered. And let's just have a look. So now we've got our styles tab, and you can see we've got this error here. So it's showing us default, but it's giving us an error saying that invalid arguments supplied for each. So that is because we have to add this default. So all I'm going to do is change that to default and change that also to default. Let's try that. Again. And now you can see we have no errors. Okay? And we can choose our font. So let's have a look at how that looks in how we want to echo that, how that looks on the settings page. So if we go back to our front end, and we'll go settings. Refresh. So we'll get rid of this string here of the ID. And we can see here's our font. Font has an array with a key of family and weight. So let's change that front end to settings-font. So now we're going to go into the font array, and we will look at the key of family. And that will look like that, if I'm right, if I remember right off the top of my head. And there we go. So we're showing that it's default. So if I change that to ACPI and hit save, we'll see that change to ACPI. So that is how we need to echo that. So what we'll do, we'll just publish this. So we'll go done publish. And we'll look at how that is actually rendering. So as you can see, it does not wrap that in any p tags or anything like that. It is just straight text. So theoretically, what we could do is we could go, let's just get rid of these settings and classes. Let's just that I've rendered. So we've got our ID, our div still, and let's go P and close the P. So now we could put that in a P tag. And the way we would do that is go front end JS and add a space and tell it to, so we're going to target this class, this P paragraph in that class. So now when we go back in and go back to our page builder and publish that page again, because of the caching that Beaver Builder does, So by going back into the page and going publish again, it'll reload all those scripts. So you see it's still working. And if we inspect, it's now being wrapped in a P class, in the paragraph class. So we could set it up that in this module, we could say, hey, do you want this at heading 1? Do you want this heading 2? Do you want this heading 3? Do you want it as a paragraph? We could do all that with a select box if we wanted to. But for me, I'm just going to leave it as a P class for now. So, so we could just change that, give that a simple class equals quote. Just so it'll just make it easy for us to target with our CSS. So we want p.quote. Now here's the thing. We've given a class of quote. You could just target that with this. However, for people that are using Beaver, Genesis and Dynamic, they will hate you. It will not work. Even Headway may give you grief because they have their own CSS styling, which may or may not override it. So we're going to target the P with the quote. Right, so what we want to do is font family, just normal CSS, but we're going to go PHP echo. No, we didn't. And copy that. Settings, font, and that family that we looked at before. Close out the PHP, close out that that CSS. Let's duplicate that. Oops. Duplicate that, and we want to go font weight, and we just want to change that to weight. Okay. So now if we go back to our page builder, we can see the font's changed to Acme. Let's change it to, so let's go back into here. Let's go permanent marker. I like permanent marker because it gives me a good indication what's working. Let's hit save. And that has not rendered in permanent marker. That looks more like a Times New Roman. So Times New Roman. So let's just publish it and let's just go and have a look. And now, we can see it's permanent marker. Cool, so we've got that part working. Let's check our weight. So at the moment it's set to probably default or regular. So at the moment it's set to regular. We don't have a, so let's go open sans. And let's change that to extra bold 800 because we should see that clearly rendered in. Once again, it's changed to open sans, but I can't see the weight. That's definitely open sans font. But let's go publish and let's see if it loads that bold weight. And it has. And if we inspect that just to double check it, we can see it is quote font family is open sans and the font weight is 800. So we've got that part working. So the next thing we're going to work on is font size. Now, for that, what I want to do is I want to question, do you want to change your font size or do you want to leave it as the default font size? So I'm going to give them an option of whether they do or don't want to change it. So for that, we want to use a select box. So if we jump back to our custom modules, let's have a look what that might look like. And as you can see, it is really handy to know about these custom module docs. The knowledge base in Beaver Builder is really good. These can be a little bit confusing when you're first looking at it, but once you've run through this, you'll be able to go back to these now and they should be able to make perfect sense for you. So let's have a look. Icons, links, audio. Here we go. So here's our select field. And you can see all the options here. So we've got a toggle, etc., etc. So let's copy all of that. Let's go to the end of our font. So let's just end font. And let's custom size, and give it a font. And we're going to, option is no. You can use it false or whatever you want. So let's make that no. And let's make this yes. And let's make that no. And let's make this yes. Okay, so let's run through this quickly. So we're calling our select field, we're giving it a label of custom font size. In the select, the drop, so this is a drop down, we're giving it the options of no and yes. So this is what will show, because they're translatable. Remember I talked about that with the double underline. But the actual value, if someone chooses no, the value will be no. If they choose yes, the value will be yes. So let's do a toggle of no, and let's do a toggle of yes. And you can see we can toggle to fields and sections. So let's make that one yes, and let's make that one no. Okay, because what I want to do is if they choose custom size yes, hey, I do, then let's go, hey, okay, here's the text size, font size. So let's just copy that and get our closing. There. Okay, and custom size. So we want to make it a basic text. So if you remember, if we go back to that chart module that I opened up before, remember how we had this text with this size and thing? Let's just copy that. And we're going to use that now. So let's paste that in. And let's add that over. Font size. So notice how these are different. Okay, so we need to make sure that these array are differently named. So font size. So we want it as a pixel base. We don't need more than 3 characters, because if they want to do a font size of 1,000 pixels, good luck to them. So let's make sure we tag that in font size. Let's also give it a default. And we want to give it a font size, a default of 14. And I'm going to duplicate that row, and I'm also going to give it a placeholder. Now, one last thing I want to show you, which I'll add it in here, is this help function in your array, your key value in an array. So in this, we want to make sure it's translatable. So enter your custom font size. So, okay, so we're not going to toggle any sections or any fields, any tabs. We're just going to toggle a field. So if you choose yes, then show this field. Okay. Let's have a look if that works. Does that make sense, that toggle and all that text area and everything like that? Can everybody still hear me? Can someone tell me?
Yeah. Can you hear us?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay, cool. All right, so let's just have a look that that's all working. So we go back to our page builder. So now if we go to our styling, if we go to our styles, so custom font size, no, we do not see the font size box. When we choose yes, the font size box appears. And if you remember that help, if you hover over that little question mark, there's your help that you added in. And there's our description. And if the reason why I entered a default value and a placeholder, so if they delete that, it will still show. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add this outrageous font size of 32 pixels and just save that. Now we won't see that render yet here, and the reason being is because we haven't loaded it into our CSS. So what we're going to do is add some PHP in here. So we're going to go PHP if, open brackets, settings, and we call that custom size. So if custom size equals, okay, so all right, let me just explain why there's double equals. Let me explain why there's double equal signs. The reason being is because if I go, let's go dot value equals red, echo dot value, that would mean it would actually display red on the screen because I've told the system that value is equal to red. Equals says is like saying if it is equal. Okay, so if I did this, if less than, if greater than, and if I did that, that would mean if not equal. Okay, so that's quick PHP lesson. We use double equals. So if yes, okay, and then we close that off. Oops, open that and close off the PHP. And we'll be, because this is PHP curly braces, not CSS, we need to make sure it's all wrapped in there. But we need to close it because now we're using it. We're using CSS. We're going to go font size PHP echo. Now I'm going to deliberately stuff this up just to show you something. So that's it. We're echoing the font size. So we're saying, hey, if settings custom size equal yes, which means, hey, yes, give me a custom font size, then echo the font size. Otherwise, it won't. If that does not equal yes, so if they've set no, then it won't change the font size. So which means it'll use the default paragraph font size as set by the theme, the customizer, etc., etc. So what I'm going to do here, I'm just going to go out and echo those settings back on our front end. So let's do our var dump settings. Remember that by now. Let's refresh that. So if you remember, I gave it a font size of 32 pixels, and you can see here, so font size 32. It didn't change it there. And the reason being is because that is a string value of 32. You'll notice there's no pixels. So if I go and publish this, because custom size does equal yes, it'll still render that. And if we go and do the inspect, we will see it there, but it is blacked out because we didn't add the pixel size. So even though back here we added the description, it is only a description, it is not a value, it doesn't get rendered. So what we do need to do is we need to make sure we add our pixels. And this will be the same when we do color, which we will be doing next. Our color, we will need to add the hashtag in front of the color. So now we will need to go back to our page builder just to make sure we're clearing out that cache. And now we can see our font size is 32 pixels. And we can increase that. We can make that 50, etc., etc. And if we change to no, that field disappears and our font size changes to the default paragraph font size for our theme. Let's quickly do the color. So let's go over here. We need to spell that with an O-R. I'm Australian. We use the British language. We spell it C-O-U-R, C-O-L-O-U-R. But hey, this is code. So we use the color. So let's copy that, because that's what we need. And we'll go back to our module, paste that in, Control Z, enter down, that again, paste that in. Now I'm going to delete half of this content. At the moment I am not going to have any rules in here, so that rules can go. Oh no, I'll leave that in. We'll leave that preview in. Okay. But I only need one because we're only rendering it in one. Okay. So let's delete. That's what I need. Okay. So now we're going to say we can just change that to font color. So we know that that is font color. And we want to make sure that we are targeting the same CSS. So p.quote. Over here, we'll change that to p.quote. And we want to target the font color. Let's go, that should be the end, and font color. And you'll see we've got no default colors in there. We can add in the same as up here. We can add in a default, which would look like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 for 6, or if you wanted it white, you would go Fs. But we're not going to have a default color because we want the theme to dictate the default color, but give them the option to change it. So what we want to do is go to our CSS and we'll go color, PHP, echo, settings, and font color. Close that, close that, close that. Now, if you remember, like I said this before, like with the pixels, it won't render that color. We need to add the hashtag in front of it. So let's go back in and let's refresh this. And let's have a look at what that will look like if we change the color. So let's go to our style tab. We've got our color picker. Let's change it to red. Let's change it to blue. Green. So if somebody, if they haven't, so you can see it's dynamically changing as we go without having to save. That's because of that preview rule, okay, in the font color. So now we can change. Now we can change the color. I think that's probably about all I'm going to do with this module for now. You can see here that we've got the font color is showing there. I don't think we're going to show, I'm going to add too much more to this because I'm pretty sure we've taken up a lot of time now, and I want to do some Q&As and everything like that. And I'm fairly confident we have covered off everything else. CSS, front end, daily end, yeah. Okay, I'm going to delete that variable, that var, and save that. And that is our finished working module. Yay! Okay, the floor is yours. Open up with questions, fire away, anything you miss, anything you want me to run over again, whatever the case may be, targeting this demoing of how to build a module.
Well, my question that I posted, I don't know if you see it in the chat, but it's not related to the recent module you just did, but it's something I've
unmute yourselves, talk away.
Hello?
I understand you.
I don't think John could he hear me?
I don't know. I hear you.
Oh, okay. That's so
Or
weird.
not.
Tell him, could you tell him check the chat box then? I don't know
I'm
why
assuming
he
you
can't
can still
hear
hear
us.
me.
John, you can't hear her? I don't think he can hear anybody.
It's so weird.
I don't know.
Ah, no, I cannot hear you. Hang on a second then. Okay, right. Can someone, are you talking?
Hello.
I can hear you.
Can you hear us?
Hang on. What's happened to my headset? Did my headset start working? Okay, you're there?
Yeah.
Can you hear us?
Hello?
Hello, John?
Hello. Hello, hello, hello.
This is the most difficult part of this webinar. Somebody already left.
Just bear with me, I'm trying to work out what's going on with my headset.
Okay. John left. There you go.
Congratulations on the Tony nomination.
Okay, so that's working. Okay, can you all hear me now? Can I hear you? Somebody start talking?
Can you hear us? Can you hear us?
No? Not even my loudspeakers are working. So Google Hangout has stopped. Decided I'm not allowed to hear you guys or hear anything at all. Okay, so you guys are going to have to use the, if you have any questions, we're going to have to use the chat. Because I can't seem to hear anything. It's not my headset, I can't even hear through my speakers. But if I play a video on another monitor, I can hear it come through. So, any questions, just post it in the chat. How to use by on-click pop-up on the right way. Shay, I'll do something else with you on that another time, not for this webinar, okay? So hang about and we'll go through that after. So we've had Nick leave, we've had Grant leave, so they were obviously happy with the answers. What about you guys? Oh, you're welcome. This is live on YouTube, guys, so it is being recorded as well. So you will be able to go back and re-watch it. And also, I will message you this plugin. So I will zip it. You can go and install it, and you can actually start using it on your site if you are so inclined. But you can then start breaking it down and go, that's what he was typing, that's what he was doing, okay, and start re-engineering it and using it with the inline. Don't forget the custom module docs. I posted the link before for over on the Beaver Builder site. So wpbeaverbuilder.com/custom-module-documentation. Okay, I'm going to stop broadcasting now then, which we'll just end it. And Shay, if you want to stick around, or if anybody else wants to stick around, I'll have a look at the pop-up.